Earth creationists place the flood at about 2348 BC, but we have single standalone trees older than that, which have been continuously growing undisturbed for 4,900 years.
It's because most young Earth creationists use the wrong biblical dates. Evolutionists and young Earth creationists are about to come at me for this one. So this content creator is on the right track. We date trees like Methuselah using what's called Dendrochronology, where we drill into the tree, we pull out a sample, and we count how many tree rings it has. And generally speaking, one ring equals 1 year. Although it is worth noting that there can sometimes be variants of multiple rings in a year or no rings in a year, depending on the conditions. That being said, I think assuming over a 400-year error rate in our calculation of Methuselah is a bit of a stretch, even if we are assuming the higher inflated carbon atmosphere of a post-flood that many models project. But there is a resolution. So check this out. Most biblical translations that people have access to today use timelines coming from what's called the Masoretic text, which was written well into the ADs. But there is an older biblical document that actually has older dates for a lot of the patriarchs, usually by multiples of 100s, that is dated to around 3rd, 2nd century BC. And from a historicity perspective, this is what would be more reliable. Now, if we use these dates to try to figure out when the flood happened, we end up with a date of around 33 to 3400 BC. And for those of you that don't want to do math in your head, Methuselah, the tree, would have been sprouted around 29 to 2950 BC. And this fixes the problem with Methuselah and Prometheus. And it also fits in perfectly with the time frame of when we see just an explosion of languages emerge with Sumerian cuneiform around 3200 BC.
We have significantly older tree colonies, like the Pando aspen colony, consistently growing for over 10,000 years.
Don't throw Pando into the mix, man. So Pando is assuming growth rates. It's not traditional dendrochronology where we drill in and we count the tree rings. It's assuming the growth of this one particular organisms and how quickly we think it could seed. And there's actually incredible variance by scientists as to how old they think this is. So even scientists can't agree on the baseline assumptions to determine Pando's age. And we also have to factor in how the standard model generally doesn't account for things like a higher inflated carbon atmosphere that many young Earth creationists would suggest would have existed after a flood. So you had me in the first half, but we can't take well-established science and then mix it with highly assumption-based science and then equate those two as the same. That's a false equivalency. So I'm actually working right now to go through the Septuagint, the Masoretic texts, the Sumerian king list and its various versions, Dendrochronology, stuff like that, rolling it all into one, and then seeing what we can determine about our ancient past based off of all of that, and if we can place times on everything, and if those times would match. So if you're interested in that kind of methodology and that kind of idea is intriguing to you, be sure to like and subscribe for more.